In a quiet apartment, elderly Helga finds comfort in her daily routine, knitting while watching TV, her dementia making each day feel new. Her peace is shattered when strange noises echo from the vents, prompting her to call for help. With shaky hands, she reads her contact details from carefully prepared notes to the exterminator's office. Enter Frank, the exterminator who arrives to investigate. As he approaches Helga's door, two things catch his attention: an unsettling odor seeping from the vents and mysterious sounds echoing through the halls. Though Helga greets him with confusion, having already forgotten her own call, the persistent noises convince her to let Frank investigate. What Frank discovers turns his routine call into a nightmare. Following a trail of blood through the ventilation system, he makes a horrifying discovery: one of his colleagues, badly wounded, trapped inside. A sudden movement behind him becomes his last conscious moment as something attacks him violently. Outside, Helga witnesses Frank's desperate attempt to escape, only to be dragged back into the darkness of the vent. Yet her dementia wraps her in a protective fog, erasing the horror she just witnessed. She simply returns to her knitting, and when the noises return, she innocently calls for another exterminator, unaware of the fate that awaits them. The story rewinds 4 days earlier, when a fiery object pierces Earth's atmosphere, blazing through New York's night sky. Its journey ends in a storeroom, crashing through a window and landing in a toy house. From this otherworldly arrival, a small spider emerges from what appears to be an egg. Charlotte, Helga's adventurous granddaughter, sneaks into this very storeroom, hoping to snag a doll for her latest Instagram post. Fate intervenes when she discovers the mysterious spider on her hand. Quick thinking leads her to trap it in an empty matchbox before escaping through the vents. Meanwhile, Helga's sister Gunter investigates the disturbance, discovering the broken window with horror. As Charlotte navigates the vents, she overhears Gunter confronting her stepfather Ethan, accusing Charlotte of the break-in. Racing against time, Charlotte manages to return to her room just in time, securing her alien discovery in a jar, unaware of the chaos it will soon unleash. Tension fills the air as Ethan confronts Charlotte about Gunter's apartment. Their strained relationship shows as Charlotte denies everything, but their confrontation is cut short by Sandy from the publishing house calling about Ethan's latest comic project. Excited about her new 8-legged friend, Charlotte snaps a photo of the spider, christens him Sting, and shares him with her Instagram followers. Her mom, Heather, soon tasks her with watching baby Liam while she works, but Charlotte's attention drifts to her fascinating new pet. Life isn't easy for Ethan, who balances his comic book career with a building supervisor job to support his family. During a routine pipe repair in Maria's apartment, he has a humbling encounter with a cockroach that sends him jumping. Maria, a widow who's lost both her sons, shares a touching moment with him, reminding him to cherish his family. Back in their apartment, Charlotte secretly feeds Sting a cockroach, while Ethan tackles maintenance work in the basement. As the day winds down, he returns home to care for baby Liam, allowing Heather to visit her mother Helga, who's spending time with Gunter. In a bittersweet moment, Helga shows Heather a moth sweater she made for Charlotte. Her dementia creates a heartbreaking scene as she fails to recognize Heather as her own daughter, telling her she should meet her daughter before drifting off to sleep. Meanwhile, Ethan works on his latest comic, reaching out to Charlotte by showing her a character inspired by her father, a professor. Their rare moment of connection is interrupted when Heather asks Charlotte to set the dinner table, though she warmly acknowledges Ethan's efforts with her daughter. Later that evening, Ethan discovers Charlotte's empty room. His eyes catch a sketch of a giant spider, and he notices the jar, Sting's temporary home. Charlotte's timely arrival prevents him from investigating further, and he tucks her in for the night. As Charlotte falls into deep sleep, something sinister unfolds. Sting manages to escape his jar and slips into the building's ventilation system. In Gunter's apartment, her vigilant parrot notices the spider emerging from the vent and desperately tries to wake its sleeping owner, sensing the danger that's about to unfold. During breakfast, Charlotte tries to share her thoughts, but her words dissolve into the adult world of deadlines and responsibilities as Ethan and Heather remain absorbed in their own conversation. Feeling invisible, she leaves the table in frustration. Once Charlotte is gone, a heavy conversation unfolds between Ethan and Heather. He confronts her with a difficult truth. Charlotte's father has been in town for 6 months, yet hasn't made any effort to see his daughter. Heather deflects, promising to tell Charlotte at the right time, before redirecting Ethan's attention to baby Liam's needs. The morning's calm shatters when Gunter's horrified screams echo through the building. Ethan rushes upstairs to discover a grotesque scene. Her beloved parrot brutally killed, its skin peeled away and grotesquely displayed on its own cage. Shaken, Gunter insists Ethan call Frank, the exterminator, to investigate. Frank arrives and examines the disturbing scene with professional detachment. His conclusion is chilling. Whatever killed the parrot is small enough to navigate the building's ventilation system. His solution is decisive: smoke out the entire building to eliminate the mysterious predator. Unaware of the building-wide crisis, Charlotte tends to her secret pet. She's developed a special bond with Sting, even discovering that he can mimic her whistle when he's hungry. As she offers him a feast of cockroaches, a chance incident reveals something crucial. A stray mothball sends Sting into a panic. Charlotte quickly learns why. The mothballs dissolve Sting's webbing, making them his kryptonite. More alarming yet fascinating to her, Sting has grown significantly larger. The extermination process reaches their apartment, with Frank methodically spraying each room. When he approaches Charlotte's room, she protests, protective of her hidden companion. Frank's response is blunt but prophetic. Spiders are simple creatures driven only by their instincts to eat and kill. He suggests she consider getting a dog instead, unaware that her pet is far from ordinary. In Maria's dimly lit apartment, her evening unfolds tragically. Her dog's frantic barking pierces through her alcohol-induced drowsiness, warning of danger lurking in the vents. Irritated and unsteady, Maria banishes her loyal companion, unknowingly removing her last line of defense as Sting silently stalks from above. A moment of vulnerability follows as Maria gazes at a cherished photo of her lost family, her husband and sons frozen in happier times. The tender moment shatters when Sting strikes, his venomous bite landing on her cheek and sending her crashing to the floor. Horror builds as Maria stumbles to her bathroom mirror, watching her cheeks swell and turn an unnatural purple. Her body betrays her as she violently vomits before another devastating fall against the bathtub's edge. Paralysis creeps through her body, leaving only her eyes mobile to witness her fate as Sting delivers his final, gruesome attack. Meanwhile, Charlotte's fascination with her unusual pet leads her to Eric, a biology student known for his animal experiments. She borrows a fish tank, but Eric's scientific curiosity is piqued when Sting demonstrates his extraordinary whistling ability. His revelation is chilling. No ordinary spider has vocal cords, confirming Charlotte's suspicions about Sting's otherworldly nature. Impressed by Sting's size and abilities, Eric convinces Charlotte to leave her pet with him, promising to find a secure enclosure that can contain the creature. Their secret arrangement hinges on keeping Ethan in the dark. Back in the apartment, a heated discussion between Heather and Ethan is interrupted by strange sounds in the ventilation system. Ethan's investigation leads to a startling encounter, but it's just Maria's frightened dog bursting from the vent. Concerned, Ethan heads to Maria's apartment to return her pet. When his knocks go unanswered, he uses his supervisor's key, only to discover a scene of horror, Maria's lifeless body. As he speaks with investigating officers, an urgent call from Eric cuts through the chaos, demanding his immediate attention, unaware that these seemingly separate events are about to collide. The truth about Sting unravels in Eric's apartment as he reveals the shocking reality to Ethan. Charlotte's pet is no ordinary spider, but a highly venomous creature that could be responsible for recent deaths. Eric's suggestion to involve the Department of Health and Safety sends chills down Ethan's spine as he witnesses Sting's alarming size. A heated confrontation erupts when Ethan challenges Charlotte about her dangerous pet. Betrayed, she rushes to Eric's apartment only to be turned away. Her anger boils over as she lashes out at Ethan, not just about Sting, but about his comic book, specifically how he killed off her favorite character, the one based on her father. Her fierce defense of her absent father, who she believes is in Thailand, pushes Ethan past his breaking point. In a moment of frustration, Ethan shatters Charlotte's world by revealing the painful truth. Her father has been in town for 6 months without making any effort to see her. The revelation leaves Charlotte devastated, fleeing to her room in tears. Heather's fury at Ethan is immediate, reminding him that he had no right to destroy Charlotte's image of her father. Meanwhile, Eric's scientific curiosity takes a dangerous turn. Instead of reporting Sting, he sees an opportunity for his own twisted experiment, feeding the creature larger prey to accelerate its growth. His ambition proves fatal when Sting, now enormously larger, breaks free from his tank while Eric sleeps. Ethan's professional life crumbles as Sandy from the publishing house delivers devastating news about his comic book. His frustration explodes as he takes his anger out on the building's heater, only to have Gunter appear and unleash her own venom. Her promise to fire him comes with a cruel assessment of his character, calling him weak and vowing to keep him away from Charlotte. Her words cut deep, leaving Ethan emotionally wounded. The horror escalates in Gunter's apartment as she searches for her missing cat. While watching TV with her sister Helga, she hears her cat's cries coming from the ventilation system. Against better judgment, Gunter follows the sound into the dark vent. As her flashlight dies, leaving her in total darkness, Sting strikes, dragging her into the shadows with terrifying force. Tension reaches its breaking point when a minor electrical shock sends Ethan over the edge. His violent outburst against the TV screen terrifies the children, forcing Heather to send them away while she confronts her husband's crumbling composure. Lost in her own world with headphones on, Charlotte remains oblivious to the horror unfolding behind her. Sting launches his most brazen attack yet, paralyzing both Heather and Ethan before dragging them away into the darkness. The only witness is Maria's dog, barking desperately at the danger. Charlotte's innocent interpretation of the dog's distress leads her to the kitchen for food, missing the horrifying sight of Sting pulling her stepfather into the ventilation system. Reality crashes in when she finally notices her parents' absence and discovers the gaping vent, their exit point to a nightmare. Panic sets in as Charlotte finds herself isolated. No internet, locked doors and windows, and now even the dog has vanished. The terrifying realization that her pet is behind this forces her to barricade the open vent, but Sting is always one step ahead. In a devastating twist, Sting emerges from an unexpected direction, snatching baby Liam before disappearing into another vent. Charlotte's anguished screams echo through the empty apartment as guilt overwhelms her. Charlotte prepares for battle. She dons her grandmother's moth sweater, now a suit of armor against her former pet, and converts her water gun into a weapon, filling it with mothball-infused water. What was once Sting's weakness will become her strength. Hope for help shatters when she discovers Eric cocooned in Sting's webbing, suspended from his ceiling. Desperate, she races to check on her grandmother Helga. The phones are dead, but Charlotte ensures her grandmother's safety by insisting she keep her moth shawl on as protection. Fortifying herself with more mothball water from Helga's apartment, Charlotte ventures into Sting's domain. Her search gains urgency when Ethan's painful screams guide her to his location. Their reunion is brief but crucial as she frees him from Sting's sticky prison, though not before Ethan suffers burns in his own escape attempt. Frank arrives at Helga's apartment, responding to her call about strange noises, unaware he's walking into a nightmare. Meanwhile, Ethan's rescue is interrupted by Liam's cries echoing through the vents. Despite Charlotte's warning to be careful, Sting's sudden appearance sends them tumbling into the basement dumpster. Charlotte regains consciousness to find Sting looming over her like a monster, but Ethan springs into action, driving the creature away with mothball water. As Charlotte breaks down, overwhelmed by guilt over the deaths her pet caused, Ethan shows true fatherly compassion, absolving her of blame and promising they'll survive together. Their moment is shattered when Sting violently hurls Frank into the garbage room. The terrified exterminator lashes out at Charlotte before desperately trying to escape. His panic leads to a struggle with Ethan over their precious mothball water, their only defense against the creature. Frank's fear-driven decision to fight with his nail gun proves catastrophic. His wild shots miss Sting, but trigger the sprinkler system, washing away their protective mothball coating. In a horrifying display of power, Sting seizes Frank, dragging him to a gruesome end that leaves Charlotte and Ethan shell-shocked. Hope flickers in the garbage compactor, where they discover Heather and baby Liam cocooned in webbing. Using their remaining mothball water, Ethan frees his family, leading to a brief emotional reunion as Charlotte realizes the true meaning of family. The moment of peace shatters as Sting appears for a final confrontation. Their last hope lies in the compactor door, but fate deals another blow. It's unplugged. Ethan makes a desperate reach for the cord, while Charlotte bravely holds off their otherworldly opponent. The situation turns dire as Sting overpowers Charlotte and moves to finish them all. In a sacrifice play, Ethan manages to plug in the compactor but suffers a severe electrical shock. Charlotte seizes the moment, activating the compactor and finally crushing their tormentor. Tension hangs heavy as Heather works to revive an unconscious Ethan. Charlotte counts down, praying for her stepfather's survival. 1, 2, 3. When Ethan gasps back to life, Charlotte's emotional walls crumble completely. Calling him Dad for the first time, she embraces him as her true father, the family finally whole after their horrific ordeal. But in the shadows of their victory lurks a chilling epilogue, a clutch of unhatched spider eggs silently waiting, promising that their nightmare may not be truly over.